What's up, everybody? Welcome to Sexin and Flexin Live Sunday. Obviously, you can't see that Levi's not here, so I'm gonna welcome my new co-host. Guys, welcome in. Here he comes. Bam! Here
What's
he
going
is.
on, guys? How things going tonight? What's up? We're gonna do the Sexin and Flexin this week, man.
He likes making a grand entrance, really, bro? Oh my god. Anyway, so I got some big announcements. Levi is on vacation. All right. He's taking a break. He needed a breather. He wanted to spend time with the fam. Um, I know a lot of people may not understand that, but yeah, he needed time. I support his decision. He wanted to go be with his kids, his family, take them on trips. Everybody needs family time. Um, and that being said, I also started another podcast, which is every other Saturday. It's not every Saturday. It's called Cold Blooded Gains. Um, and my co-host over there, it rotates. If Max can't do it, I got Dustin from Gargoyle Exotics. He's gonna jump on and help me out with that as well. It was supposed to be Caitlin because we had decided on that, but that's not gonna happen. She has some issues going on with her brother. Her brother had surgery, and I told her I understand that, like, go do what you gotta do. Take care of business.
Yeah, man. I think all this like with Levi, Caitlin, and stuff like that. We all have families and regular life. We got to take care of sometimes, and I feel like the community is always here for us. So whenever we're ready for it to come back in, or if we need to take a break, I don't think anybody will ever be upset. People definitely understand that.
So what I find funny is though is we're on a Sexin and Flexin podcast live, and I'm wearing a Cold Blooded Games T-shirt. Dude, check it out.
Hell yeah, that's good, man.
Right?
I like that.
They're gonna be like, "Wait, is this Cold Blooded or just Sexin and
That's sex
Flexin?"
and
Now,
flexion.
Sexin and Flexin. But man, let's get this started, bro. Let's get it started. It's
Down.
been 7 months since the last time we had you on here, and like
Been a
we were
while, yeah.
talking backstage. Man, like you're growing, bro. You're growing. Um, I mean, you started a podcast. Tell everybody about that. Like, for the people
Yeah.
that don't know about your podcast, tell them.
Hell yeah. Yeah. So I started a podcast on my regular Clover's Reptile YouTube. It's called Scaled Success, and it's every second and fourth Tuesday of the month, 8:30 Eastern time. Um, and I started, the name Scaled Success. I wanted to bring on people and talk about their journey in the reptile community and their life, because I think it all comes in together with like what we do daily lives, with work, school, family, and then with the reptile. All that stuff makes it important for everybody to know, like and to get to become successful. There's a long road ahead of you, and I don't think a lot of us want to talk about like the or sometimes it's hard to talk about the struggles that we have in front of people. And I try to ask that to my guest, what are the hardest struggles you've had? What are you struggling with something right now, or have you struggled within something in the past, and how did you overcome it? Because that's the biggest thing about struggles is learning how to overcome it. And also, from the outside looking in, maybe you're going through that struggle at the moment, and maybe somebody already has an idea or an answer how to make it better for yourself.
Bro, speaking on struggles, as you're, talking about that right now, there's a lot of people going through struggles, like Brian Barchat,
That's right,
cancer.
man. Yeah,
And then we got
and
Mindy
that's
from Timeless Morse.
mhm.
Her son has brain cancer. I got his bracelet right here. I wear it every day, supporting him. You know.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. That's rough.
Yeah. So that's why I made that reel on Instagram. Like I support all those like brain cancer or
Yeah,
pancreatic cancer or whatever it may be, autism awareness, bully. Like I got a bunch of shirts in my store about those. Um, but a lot of people are going through a lot of things, and I think people are afraid to talk about them because they feel like they're going to be judged by other people.
Yeah, man.
Um,
Yeah. You know, and we're all human, man. We all have like struggles, make mistakes and stuff like that. And then we all judge people too. I don't care who you are. You've judged somebody in your life. You know, you judge other people's actions or the way they say something. So, nobody's perfect. You know, what is it? Don't throw stones if you live in a glass house. You know, that's a perfect, saying. People just, we got to be ourselves.
and I agree. And we also have one more guest coming with us. Me and Alvaro already talked about this, so he's cool with it. We're going to bring him on.
All right, yeah, hell yeah.
Hey guys, what's up?
What's going on, bud? What's up?
Not much.
Oh, what is that you got there?
Blue albino
Hell yeah.
tegu.
Oh, man.
Nice.
That is gorgeous, bro. How come you didn't show that yesterday?
Because this is going to be the first season breeding them. Haven't bred them yet.
Bro, that's amazing. Right now, we're just talking about. Oh, let me get you out real quick. I'm sorry.
Hey,
Right now, we were talking about how like people need breaks from doing podcasts, taking a break. It's not a bad thing. He was talking about PTSD, how it affects like you and your family. I was talking about breast cancer and pancreatic cancer because there's a lot of people in the community that have kids that are going through something. So I was telling him like if you want to support Timeless Moore's son Otto, who has brain cancer, um, just message her and say that you would like a bracelet, and she will send you a bracelet, and she'll like send you one so you can support her son. I'm all about supporting other people. That's what I came into the hobby and community as. Uh, when I came in, I was doing nothing but like fundraisers, raising money. I was just giving money, man, left and right. Like I thought it was like a billionaire just supporting everybody, but
Yeah.
it all ends up later. So,
Oh, yeah, that's what the community's for. I mean,
for sure, man.
definitely got to take care of each other.
Yeah.
so
Yeah. We're such a small community that if we don't take care of each other, that anybody outside the community is not going. It's not going to happen. So.
Right. Absolutely.
but on that note, and he was talking about because he also has a podcast. Alvaro does have a podcast as well. So I'm trying to catch you up here. He does have a podcast, Skills and Success, right?
Scaled success, yeah.
Scaled
Okay.
Success, and he has a guest coming on that we had on when we had a whole hog nose podcast. It was like I think four of us on there,
Yeah.
and I was gonna tell Alvaro like congratulations on that. He's getting Jeff Gelwood. Did I say his
Oh,
last name right?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
They call him the hog nose king. So
Yeah.
yep. He's got some amazing stuff in his collection.
Yeah. He does, man. He's been doing it for so long. I mean, I think it's probably one of the people that are still relevant and still, doing hog nose. Probably one of the longest people so far right now. I think he's in his mid 30s, been doing it since like he was a teenager. So it's
Yep.
pretty impressive to stick with a project that long.
Oh yeah. Yeah, his story is like talks about how he started in his mom's basement with just a couple of snakes, and now he's got this huge facility. And
Yeah, man.
yeah,
that's what we were talking about, like the racks that he has. They're awesome racks. And then we were talking about this backstage, not on the live yet, and we were talking about how there's some awesome racks for the hog noses, like those clear racks. Like, have you ever seen her page, Show Me Kitties?
yep,
She has that awesome rack that everybody wants, and it's clear. And I want it, but I don't know where to get it from. Like, I think it's specially custom made for her. So,
who? I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think who has the clear. I can't think of the brand that carries the clear.
I think is it ARS?
Is it ARS?
I think it is.
I
They
know.
have the clear tubs.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Jeff Gale, that's what he has in his facility for a lot of his breeder females and stuff like that.
Oh,
Okay.
He has like those clear tubs. They look really sharp, man. They're nice.
well, he says they're prototypes, so I didn't know that.
Um,
I didn't know they were prototypes.
for Shogun kitties, yeah, they're all like I think they've only built one of each set of each size so far, and they're testing them out and stuff like that. I know they added like UVB, they added grow lights to it also. So
Yep.
I mean, what's up, everybody? Hold on, let me shout out everybody here. What's up, guys? What's up, everybody? What's up, Bunts Finest, Eden, Geo, of course, Mitzi, Beauty Brings in Beast Mode, um, Emily. I mean, all y'all guys. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Um, I
yeah,
also
for
gonna
sure.
shout
Thank
out.
you everybody for joining in.
Yeah, I'm also gonna shout out the sponsors. Take the time to shout out the sponsors real quick because I didn't do that at the beginning, and I'm gonna announce that we also got Ship Your Reptiles as a sponsor for this podcast only. We don't have any sponsors for Cold Blooded Games yet. We're working on that, but we'll get there. So Ship Your Reptiles is a sponsor. We do have a code. It's Flexin23 if you want to, get a $15 off your ship to ship your reptiles. And then we got KC Reptile Labs for substrate. Same thing, code Flexin. Type in Sexin and Flexin, you get 10% off or 15% off. I can't remember on the substrate. And then Reptile Lab, and then South Bay Reptiles and CMB Reptiles. I appreciate all you guys, all the sponsors. They really do love us and take care of us, and they love what we do. We keep it genuine. We talk about what's real, what's going on, what's happening. Um, like I was telling Alvaro, when he does his podcast, do you do like a script or do you run off the top of your head? You know what I'm saying? Like, so for me and Levi, we run off the top of our head because it's better that way. I
Yeah,
feel like when we go off the top of our head, we make the guests comfortable and make them feel welcome, and then the guests start to open up.
yeah.
So right,
I do the same thing, man. I try to just run it and see where the conversation goes, and just I got like I think maybe 2 or 3 questions that I like to ask. But for the most part, most of my the ones I've had so far have been between an hour and a half to 2 hours, and I only have like 2 or 3 questions that I have that are consistent within the same each podcast. The rest is wherever it goes. And I was telling my last guest, Eddie Father Blue, he does the blue tree monitors. That 2 hours. We did two. I think with him we did 2 hours and like 10 minutes. I think we could have done like 3 4 hours. It was nonstop, just conversation about it.
His enclosures are insane. I mean,
They
they're
are, man.
huge.
Yeah.
so is that the guy that sleeps in the enclosures with his reptiles, or he gets in there, he's like making reels, playing poker or something in them?
Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah.
him, man.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, his enclosures are nice. I was gonna say that,
yeah, yeah.
and of course, how much?
He's a big guy, and I think those enclosures you're saying they're 7 feet tall, something like that, by like 4 feet and 3 feet deep.
Damn, those are
Yeah,
big.
yeah,
Okay. Okay. That's why he's sitting there playing in there. All right.
yeah, man.
Bro, and not only that, I know Heartland Jordan has some enclosures coming out. They're aluminum as well. Y'all gotta check that out. Those are some nice enclosures
Yeah.
that he's gonna be dropping out here soon, hopefully.
But
Sorry,
it's,
Jordan.
it's interesting to see how everybody's like tweaking, like the racks, the enclosures, and just definitely evolving the husbandry within the last couple of years. Um,
Yep.
it's really cool to see, and it helps everybody that you might have an idea but not execute it, but you see somebody else do it, like, okay, it is possible. Let me try it now, or let me actually do it.
See, they'll be dropped by the 29th. Hell yeah.
Nice, man. Nice.
Yeah, it's
Hell
great
yeah.
seeing, with Jordan, from concept to design to now what he actually has them. That's just great to see that, product like that being able to come through, people that we know that can support and, like we said, keep the community going.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, like today I have to order some deli cup displays for Daytona. So I'm gonna be vending Daytona with my friend Eslin at Exotic Fire Hogs. So I was like, man, I need to get some deadly cut displays and stuff. And there's a couple, big box reptile, websites that sell them. But this guy that we know started making them about a year ago, and they're a little cost a little more than what you will find on websites because they're mass producing them, so they probably cut the cost down. But I'd rather spend the extra money, get good quality, and support somebody locally in a small business.
Oh, absolutely.
You know?
But I feel like when you get to know the person and actually like talk to him and see what he's talking about, like when they're trying to sell their stuff and you get really close to that person, like I feel like you get comfortable. Like, hey, I'm gonna go there because the way he was, the way he talked about the product. Because like when you talk to Jordan, Jordan knows his stuff.
Mhm.
Like Jordan's very passionate about like his enclosures, his reptiles, his retics. Like I talked to him a little bit about my retic because I got a retic now, and he's like, I need to know everything about the retic. So I told him where I got it from and what it was or what she was. I'm sorry, not what it was, what she was, and you know if he actually like dropped that enclosure, I would buy it from Jordan. Like
Yep.
it's just the way he makes you feel. You know what I mean? What's up, Stan?
I might be looking into that too because when we were at Tinley, Abby was showing me the boas, and I'm getting the itch to get a boa. So we'll see how that goes.
Uh,
So you're
So
gonna get into the boa game now?
just as like a pet probably to start, but who knows?
Chip, retics are effing lame. Man, this guy's all about park tires too. I'm surprised he's not eating any right now. But I was telling Alvaro too because when he first started, he was on my podcast, on this podcast 7 months ago, and now he's growing, he's advancing, he's opening up more, he's talking a lot more. Back then, he was like, I was watching the pod while we were talking backstage. I was like, bro, the last time you were on here was 7 months ago. I go, you were just like quiet. You were like, I don't know if you were intimidated because at the time we had other people on
yeah.
and they were just going back and forth, talking. And then I would have to direct a question towards Alvaro because, it was a ball python breeder, hognose breeder, and then I think it was another ball python breeder, right?
Another ball python, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Man,
So,
because the thing was, man, I've only been back into the reptile community and like actually growing my collection now within a year. This past January. So back then, I just had a couple months of like everything, trying to take everything in, and I'm one of those persons, man. Like I try to take everything in, process it, and then speak on it because there's too many people that just talk out of their ass, and then come back and like, man, I shouldn't have said that, right? I want to learn, and I think the best thing to learn is listen. So like off of that podcast, I learned a lot, and from ball pythons, hog nose, all that stuff.
but back then, like, you didn't really know much about ball pythons until we started
No,
crossing you guys.
yeah,
So, what me and Levi had started doing back then was we were crossing the communities. So if I had a gecko, I would try to get like a leech, something like that lizard, and just cross them in, or then have a ball python with the gecko, and people like that because they're not staying in their own community. We're just trying to get everybody to know everybody, and I was trying to be positive and like picking these people up and trying to bring them together. I thought I could bring the whole community together, and boom, we take off and fight like, but arm by arm, side by side, and fight US Arc and fight with US Arc and whatnot. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But that that did happen.
Well, we got to work on that. Got to be the reptile community, not the ball python community, the gecko community, the retic community. We have to be the reptile community and just uplift everybody.
100%, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And not
That's why, like with my podcast, I'm only doing twice a month. So the first, it's the second and fourth Tuesday of the month. So the second Tuesday, I like to bring on either a mixture of either a ball python, you know, some kind of a lizard or whatever it is, and then the fourth Tuesday of the month, I want to do hog nose. because the main reason I started my podcast and my YouTube was because there's not enough hognose content out there. So I just didn't want to just concentrate on hognose. I wanted to mix it up. So I do one, like I said, one episode mix different other reptiles, and one episode concentrating on hognose per month.
Yeah, it's a good way to mix it up. Good to keep it different. So
Mm-hmm.
I think too many people focus on one species, and you don't get that information. Because even though it's just the gecko community, you can learn something from it. If it's the ball python community, you can learn something from it. Husbandry, how you care for your animal, any little thing you can use in what your projects are.
For sure. Yep, yep.
Hey, can y'all hear those kids screaming over there?
I could. Is that you?
Yeah, it's my niece and nephews. I'm sorry, guys. If y'all hear them
It's
screaming,
all
I'm
good,
sorry.
man.
They're
It's all
like
good.
right in the dining room, so and my
It's
room's
all
like
good.
right there, and
Yeah,
I
man.
just hear
We
them
all we
yelling.
all have families and
Yeah.
kids and running around.
So I just want to apologize now. I'm sorry. I wish I had something to block that out. I don't. Um,
It's good.
so Abro, you sitting back and everything and watching, what's going on. Like, what is your mindset now?
On just the overall reptile community,
Yeah, like overall, like
man.
everything. I know you've seen a lot.
Yeah. So I think overall the reptile community, we got a good thing going, man. I think the reptile community is it's strong. We stick together because we know that we're the weird people out of the society, because we keep reptiles. So it makes us bond stronger. Um, I think that the small little maybe infighting or little back and forth there is between certain people is so minimal that we just need to ignore that stuff and let it burn out on its own, and just think about the positive and keep fighting. Especially now right now what's going on with FWC. I live in Florida, and USR fighting for us. This is the moment where we definitely need to come together and forget about all that little stupidity fighting and just push our USR's agenda to try to get FWC to not be the overseer of wildlife I mean captive animals in Florida, because I think that's where the line has been crossed.
Mhm.
You know, but like I said, I think it's overall positive. The people that I've met and the people that I have in my community, I gotten really lucky, and I have like two of the probably like top five hognose people within a 30-40 minute driving distance from my house. So I've been able to pick their brain. I'm doing joint projects with them right now for this breeding season. So they've welcomed me with open arms, and I've been able to definitely have leaps and bounds ahead of what I would have been doing if I would just been in the dark and doing this on my own.
Nice.
So I know you work with gargoyles and crested geckos, Dustin.
Yep.
But like I don't know y'all's community very well. I know I talked to some gecko like crescent gecko breeders. They do have beef with or like they're kind of like the ball python community. Like some of us have beef with somebody.
Right.
But like when you go into the hognose community or the chondros community, like they're chill ass people. Like I'm over here like why can't we all just do that and chill, get along, do what we need to do.
For the most part, the gecko community is pretty cohesive. I mean, there's a few people who like to pick, you know, you know, pick on other people, but for the most part, it's a pretty good community to be a part of. Like I said, we're going to Flora Fauna in the beginning of May, and that's just for all the breeders to get together, hang out. We're gonna have party on Friday, auction on Saturday, and then a whole like convention of doing different things on Sunday together as a group. So it's really nice to get together like that. Again, it's a couple rotten apples that are just you just kind of ignore them, brush it off, and just stick with the people that are positive and a good influence.
Great, yeah.
Yeah, but that's still kind of hard though, because like how do I say this? Like people, I don't know, still just beefing. Like it doesn't matter Like if we're trying to back up USR, they still got beef. They don't not just drop the beef and just you know fight for what we need to fight for right now, which is our reptiles.
Yeah. Man, but you
And
know what? I think in any community there is within, any animal community, the car community, all that stuff, people are gonna do it no matter what. Even within like your professions, at work and stuff like that, people don't like each other, and you know, it's part of it. We just got to figure out how to navigate that and not be part of it.
Yep, absolutely.
bro,
I mean,
I just sit back and I watch. I just sit back and watch, and like they say, like you'll see who is genuine and who is the way they are. Like me, for instance, the way I am right now on this pod is the same way I am in person. You can ask anybody, even Emilio, because I met Emilio in person. He's like, dude, you're chill as hell. Like I can hang out with you every day. So I don't try to switch up on anybody, especially on my peeps, on my family in the reptile community. I would never switch up on them. I love them all. They know who they are. Abro's mi familia, so he knows who I'm talking about. I love I try to be there for everybody, especially right now when I'm working. It's hard for me because like when I'm working like either I go in 4 to 12, which is 4 to midnight, and then I go in. I got to get up at 4 a.m. and then work 4 to 12 in the afternoon. So my schedule is just back to back right now.
yep.
So when they do their pods or their lives, I try to jump in and support everybody as much as I can, especially MJ because I am a trap talk uh, Patreon member. I'm also a military morph Patreon member. Like Max said yesterday, I'm a lieutenant in their Patreon. So like I'm legit trying to support everybody and try to, like you said, time management is hard. It
Yep.
is the hardest thing to do, especially when you're running podcasts. Is um, trying to catch up on Patreons, trying to. So what I'm doing right now in the Patreons, I'm just trying to learn everything in Patreon because I eventually want to start a Patreon for Sexin and Flexin. I feel like we're already almost up that on that level, and I feel like a lot of people support me and Levi and what we're doing for the community. Like
So let me ask you, what are your guys' thought to provide to community with your Patreon? What do you guys think about doing? Have you guys talked about it yet, or it's just a thought about starting a Patreon and then you're gonna need to figure out what you're gonna do?
we talked about it, but I think it's still in thought process. Like
Mm-hmm.
we haven't got anywhere beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
So like him taking a break, and I get he had to take a break, step back. Um, it's just a thought right now. Like we haven't discussed on what we want to do with Patreon or what we would do or what everybody would get. Because like in military smart Patreon, you get a shirt. Everybody gets a shirt if you're there like 3 months or more, and then you get all the little other stuff that people don't get to see.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you got MJ. He has his after parties after his live, and then he sent you an invite to his Zoom. But that's all Patreon stuff. So I don't want to
Yeah.
talk much on that or their stuff either, because I don't know if I can talk on that. You know what I'm saying? So that's I don't know. I'm just getting ideas, and I feel like I can take it to that next level if I have to, and that's why I started Cold Blooded Games. And I was telling Alvaro last night when we had that pod, like it just the way the transitions into reptile and then fitness went, it was like perfect. It ran smooth,
Yeah, it was a pretty good, fluid conversation.
especially like going back and forth. So
Yep.
and then so another topic right now is like Alvaro was saying, like some of the struggles to get or to try to stay in the community that
Right.
you face trying to stay in the community. Like for me, my struggles were like my kids moving out to Hawaii for 4 years. Because my kids were everything to me in this reptile community. Like the reptile community loved my kids, so
Hmm.
not seeing them every day sucks.
Yep.
And
That's
then
gonna be hard, man. I couldn't imagine. Yeah. Yeah.
so
That's
Yep.
I was in Marine Corps, and that's the reason I decided to get out the Marine Corps because my oldest daughter, she's 12 now, she'll be 13 this year, was born when I was in Afghanistan. And when I got back and held her for the first time, it's like, there's no way I'm going to be able to be separated from her ever again. And I said, I was like, that's it for me. You know?
See, but I mean, you're married to their mom still. I'm not. You
Yeah,
know.
no, man, I get it, man.
Yeah,
That's a whole different situation and stuff. Like, yeah,
Their mom married somebody in the Navy, and then like
yeah,
when Max asked that question of last night, like how is it to be a dad and how to run all that stuff, dude? Like
mhm,
when I said I had my son with me everywhere, dude, I had him with me everywhere.
yeah,
Like I didn't let them leave my sight. Like if I was gonna take a nap, they're taking a nap with me, you know.
hmm,
So
yeah, man.
it, and then starting all of this for them, and then not here to like share it with them,
You
you
know what, man?
know.
Those 4 years will go by quick.
yeah.
They'll
Bro,
fly by, man. You know.
I don't know, but my little boy told me the other day, he's like, Dad. He called me on the tablet, and he's like, Dad. I said, what? I go, what's wrong, son? He goes, I'm watching your shorts, and I love them. You did one about me, which I did. He was holding his ball python,
Yeah.
and I put the future of the hobby, and it was a little short reel, and he's like, that was awesome. You know, at
That's
least
cool.
he still gets to see that stuff, and
Yeah, man.
I know he can't see the YouTube lives because he's using a school tablet, and they won't let him because it's, I guess, parental.
Yeah, the YouTube. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
he's like, Dad, I try to watch your lives, but it won't let me. So,
Yeah,
but
that's
I mean, it's just a lot, like a lot, in the reptile, like going ups and down. Like you either losing animals, like I lost. Um, I had two corn snakes, so I had a motley corn and a red albino extreme okati, and they both like just died, bro. Stopped eating, started regurgitating, and
Yeah.
so
You know, and it's hard, man. Like we can say, like, okay, it's part of it, right? It's part of owning a large um, quantity of animals, especially reptiles, and the breeding process. Because even in the breeding process, you can have a female that's doing great, and from one day to another, just be done through the breeding process. But it still hurts, man, to be able to lose an animal. Luckily, you know, I'm still in the beginning phases, so I haven't lost any. You know, knock on wood. But you know, I have friends, like I said, one of my good friends that has is close by. He's been in it for a long time, so he has those older females or females within the process, or other people within the hognose community have lost their females within like egg binding, or just
yeah.
I think some guy was talking about it last year. The female had so many eggs in her that she couldn't even breathe, and her heart stopped.
Yeah,
You
it's
know.
yeah, that's hard when you have stuff like that happen.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know, nice thing about the community though is when you build those bonds with other people, you know, you'll hear about people that, you know, you'll have a snake go down or a gecko or whatever, and then a friend of theirs who's also a breeder gives them another breeder. So, you know, having people like that in the community just keep you going, uplift you when you have those hard times. You know, that's really important.
For sure, man. Yeah,
and
and
that's
I
what he
think
was saying. That's what you were
yeah,
saying backstage too, right? Because
yeah,
he said that he met somebody, and I was like, who's that? And he told me the name. I was like, oh, I follow that person. But he said that he lives in the same state as that guy, and now they're collaborating. So
yeah,
Nice.
you
yeah,
know,
man. Like
go ahead, brother.
yeah, yeah. This year, I mean, like you know, within like I said, I have two guys. First guy is he's like 15 minutes away from me. Jamie Vaughn, J and C Hogs, and then I have Eslin from Exotic Fire Hogs, and they're both well, you know, produce some amazing animals. So like Jamie, he's so busy with the high end animals he has right now that you know, he goes, hey man, he goes, if you I only had four females that were short ready to breed this year, maybe, and then like a fifth one that was, you know, teetering on her weight and age. But he goes, if you want to, you know, try your hand on these girls, and I have like these three girls up here, they're proven breeders. He just, hey man, come pick them up and breed them for this year. And you can have the animals that come out of these eggs.
Oh,
And it's
nice.
just yeah. So he just saw that I was interested. I was doing the right thing, and he's just like like you said, you meet those people that are just open you and welcome you with open arms and are willing to help you.
Yep. That helps you too, because now you can bring new blood into your collections and keep some holdbacks and
For sure.
all that
Yep.
good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
See, and people that have that, like, I guess, privilege with people that have, like, live in the same state with them,
Mm-hmm. But
or
you know
like,
what, man? There's guys that are even doing it from across state lines, man. Like, and just like maybe they met at a show, they linked up and just started a friendship and are shipping each other animals. Left, hey, take this animal for this season, and we'll split the clutch. And it's just, I think, you get what you put out. You get what you put out, man. If you're willing to learn, put in the work, and are open to, meeting people and talking to them, you can definitely gain a lot from that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think people can feel that genuineness between people. They can tell who's genuine about it, and you can find the people who are just in it for a dollar. So that's
For sure.
really easy to tell a lot of times. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where it comes down to. A lot of the people just want to help other people. They can feel the care for the community.
For sure. Yep. Yeah, man. Yeah. That's like
so,
this year when I go to Daytona. I'm not gonna have I have 9 females that are breeding this year. But like I haven't even said anything about it, but I've already committed to it in myself. Daytona, they have the auction every Saturday. At the end of the Saturday convention. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna probably take an animal, whatever I have available from that show. I'm gonna donate one for their auction and stuff like that. Even being my first year, I think it's just something I can do to help the community.
Yep. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I'm actually thinking about coming down to Daytona.
Oh,
So
cool, man! For sure. Let me know. We'll definitely.
it'll be a little bit of a drive. I'll be coming from New York, so
Okay. What part of New York are you from?
Buffalo.
Buffalo. Okay, upstate. Yeah, yeah. I grew up in Jersey.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
wait, so are you a Buffalo Bill fan?
That's a laugh. No.
No, he's a Jets fan.
I actually don't even watch football.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that say that too, though.
Yeah.
So
But I'd be like, well, I'm a Bengal fan. I live in Texas, San Antonio, so.
right. Yeah, I probably may see 1 or 2 games a year if I'm at someone's house, but yeah, I'm not a sports guy.
Just a
Yeah.
fitness guy.
Yep.
All about the fitness.
I'm that weird, nerdy reptile comic books D&D guy that, makes it everybody's like, but you look like you'd be a football player. Nope.
See, I run with you on that nerdy stuff because I do read that comic book and I watch anime. I do watch anime. I'm like, I'll admit it right here. I
Yep.
like that stuff. It
Yep.
besides reptiles, that also gets me like where I want to just chill and relax.
Yeah.
Yep.
Come down to another level.
That was the funniest thing when I dated my wife is that she looked at me and she's like, I'm talking. She goes, "You're a nerd." Yep.
That's right.
But
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with being nerds. There's nothing
Right.
wrong with being nerds. So, Alvaro, I have a question for you about your podcast also.
Yeah.
Where do you want to take your podcast and what direction do you want to go in? Like, what are you trying to do for the community, or what are you trying to do with your podcast?
Man, yeah, so I think my main focus is just being able to get people's backstory of where they're at and where they came from in the community, either personally within their personal life and the reptile community. I think we always talk about everybody's success and the clutches they're hatching their animals. Um, I've only had 3 podcasts so far, but I think in none of my podcasts we've had like brought an animal out. We're just talking about the person, and that's my part of it. That's why I wanted to start my podcast.
And what inspired you?
So another thing too is there's not many hog nose people doing social
Podcast.
media, YouTube. So that's one of the first things that started YouTube. I want to start YouTube and stuff like that. Just put all those content out there, trying to get it out to the masses as best as I can. And then I thought about it, it's like, okay, there's not too many people interviewing hognose breeders, so let me start a podcast and start interviewing them.
Bro, I support you 100%, and you know that. But I also feel like shit. I lost my train of thought. I had another good question. I follow up with that, and I
You'll come back.
lost
You'll
it.
come back.
Oh, come on, man. Yeah, my brain's constantly thinking like, what am I gonna ask you next? What am I gonna ask next? And I had
So,
to
so
follow
here,
up.
here's something I like to do, man. I usually have I have two screens. I have my laptop and another screen. So if like I'm listening and thinking about something, I jot down like a little note or something so I don't forget about it. Because sometimes you're listening, you think about it, it's like, man, that's a good question or good topic, and I'll write something down real quick because I'm forgetful same way. Um, I gotta stay super organized, not I forget what I'm doing.
I know it's something about the podcast for the Hognose community. I know there isn't a lot of them,
Hmm.
and I feel like the way you're going and what you're doing for the podcast, so you're gonna be on the front line, or how they call us, the front line for the reptile community, along with everybody else like MJ and all them, Brian Cusco, everybody. So
Yeah,
you're gonna be out there with them. So people are gonna come, and when they watch your podcast, they're gonna get information from you first.
correct. Yeah, yeah, man.
So
Yeah, and that's, man. Like I said, I'm that person. Like like I said, I waited about a year to see where I was going to be within the reptile community, how much I've learned, because I understand we are in the public eye, and whatever it's on YouTube, on social media, is the first perception people see because everybody's on social media. It's rare how actually watch regular news. A lot of people get their news from social media. So like I wanted to produce something that's going to be worthwhile and good content, and not try to paint the reptile community in the best light.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is that only the negative gets shown in the news. So, if we talk to people, you got to help them understand and see what the positives are of the community and of keeping animals. I mean, it's something that we get to do that a lot of people have never done before. Um, and doing that's going to be way more positive than what they're ever going to see through traditional media.
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, but I get what you're saying, Dustin. But like, I don't understand like why we find the negative so entertaining, and I feel like the positivity is so much way better.
Yeah. I mean, look at us, man. From back, in history, in Roman times, the Colosseum, to then now the UFC. As humans, we like seeing that stuff, like people beating each other up and stuff because yeah, people are making money and they're professionals doing like UFC, right? But if you think about it, really what it is two people trying to kill each other, and we enjoy it. It's entertainment to us. And I'm gonna tell you now, like I watch UFC and I enjoy UFC.
Yep. I
I
think
mean,
it's
I've done USC, so I get it. But go
well.
ahead, Dustin.
My thing is like when you're talking about like the negativity from the media, you got to look at who's running those media channels. They're the people that are saying what they want to take our reptiles. So that's why things like YouTube, Instagram that show the positive side of it. That's really where we got to push there because on the other side, we're just far more outweighed for the negative in that uh, realm of media.
Okay, so like for instance, I know people keep telling us that we need to focus on the USR, focus on the FWC right now,
Yep.
and stop posting the dumb shit, right? But that's not gonna happen. People are still gonna be posting what they want to post, and like, how do you stop that? How do you change their, mental, I guess, mental perspective on things?
Uh, Unfortunately, I don't think you're ever going to change those people. Some
Hmm.
people, they're set in their ways and they're not going to change. So that's why being a good influence to those that are coming into reptile keeping, helping them understand what we're facing with USARC, facing with all the laws, program bans they're trying to put in all these states where you can't take animals into a school and show the kids anymore. All these things that states are doing to prevent kids from seeing reptiles. Getting those new keepers, because they're going to eventually, the new keepers are going to outweigh the old guys that are set in their ways. They're gonna go, and then we're gonna have a new generation. We just need to help this new generation understand it's more important to support these organizations that are trying to help us than just doing what the community's been doing for years. So I think that's where you gotta go. It's focus on the future and the new breeders and keepers.
100%.
Because a lot of influencers are keepers and not even breeders. So
Yep.
those influencers, making sure they are not doing stupid things like letting venomous animals bite them or things like that, and glamorizing it, but making it more of a responsible keeping, and so that way nobody can point and say, hey, well, look what they're doing. So I think that's what the most important part's going to be.
And I totally agree, like absolutely agree 100 with you, Dustin. So,
Yep.
but that's why I was like, I wanted to ask this, and since we're talking about this, like, what is y'all's take on the FWC or what happened?
I think it's atrocious. I think what they did, there are many more ways to euthanize an animal. Number one, they don't need to be euthanized. You can find people that want those animals outside of state lines. So it should go into a rehoming program, not a euthanasia program. And the way that they're euthanizing, they're not even euthanizing them, they're stabbing them in the head with a pressure nail. They could inject them just as easily, and it would be a much more painless death than what they were going through. But it's not euthanasia. They did that in this state, and when the retic ban and all that happened, it's awful. They should take it if they want to rehome it somewhere else, because there's plenty of people that would continue breeding those in other states.
Yep. Yep. I think, and like I said, I'm from Florida. Um, it starts that organization FWC. It starts at the top, man, and that's what we need to definitely target. Because a lot of and I'm not making excuses and stuff for that, but a lot of these guys are enforcing the bans and the laws. They're just doing their job. They're officers that have chosen the job. They were there maybe before the ban and stuff like that, and it's hard for them to say I'm not going to do it. Those organizations is their type of military, right? If you don't do it, you lose your job. And for somebody to put their livelihood on the line, it's very hard. So that's why I think we need to definitely focus on changing the upper structure of FWC and getting them to work with USARC and work with the reptile community than just blatantly blanketing certain bands and certain species and stuff. So I think that's where our efforts should go to.
Right.
Um, and I know we've seen a couple different things about the board and the commissioners of USARC. I think there's you know within what we don't have in our community right now is a good politician that's fighting for us. Because like let's say like the Second Amendment, right? There's politicians that fight for that. There's politicians that fight for the freedom of speech and all different other topics that the general public backs. Like
Mhm.
again, we're such a small community that it's hard for or it's not even hard, but many politicians won't back us because we're such a small um, percentage of the population. So they're going to concentrate on bigger topics that affect the larger population. But that's why it's our responsibility to make sure our information gets put out we're educating the general public, when we're doing social media, YouTube, all that stuff, make sure we're doing education, not just showing our animals off.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I get that on the education because I actually dropped the reel on the retake and I put
Mhm.
the name it the official name it's called, and then how what temps they're kept at, like how much they eat and what they grow up to, or what, something like that. So I was
Mhm.
trying to do a little education reel, and that was my first one, and it actually did really well. So I didn't want to continue doing that. But I get what you're saying, but it's also the way um, we portray the animals
Mhm.
as well. So like on TikTok, if somebody's showing somebody getting bit, they automatically assume, oh, that snakes are bad or it's venomous or
Mhm.
poisonous or
Mhm.
whatever they say. Because I've talked to several people and they actually think snakes are slimy, bro.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like,
That's a really big misconception. I did a education for my daughter's school. My daughter, she's in middle school this year, and she's in a medical magnet program. So the first year they do um, veterinary science, and then the next 2 years in middle school they do human science. So I got, the first time we had open house at the beginning of the school year, I spoke to a teacher that takes care of the veterinary science, and they also have a couple animals that they take care of within the school. So I spoke, I was like, hey, I have hog noses. I'm a breeder. If you're interested in bringing me bringing in the snakes and teaching the kids about them, let me know. And she's like, oh, 100%. She goes, not too many people are working with snakes, or we can't have snakes here because a lot of kids are afraid of them, or their family members don't want to deal with them. So she goes, the best thing for you to is bring them in and do an education. And I think I had an hour and a half. They have block schedule, so I had an hour and a half of that. And the first question I asked, who's scared of snakes? And there was like, I think there was about 60 kids, and about like 10, 15 of them was, they said they're scared of snakes. And why? Oh, because they're going to eat me. They're venomous. All snakes are venomous. They're slimy. All the different stuff like that. With an hour and a half of me talking and stuff, after I was done, they lined up to be able to hold. Every single kid wanted to hold the snake.
Yep.
So, and I think that's where we definitely got to start, because it's easier to educate a child because their mind's still open than it is to an adult.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I actually saw that this professor was doing a study, and he noticed that children were drawn to snakes and lizards, like just naturally, as very small children. He
Mm.
says the parents training them that puts them in that fear into them of these animals. So you know you're combating that fear from that they've been ingrained in them growing up. But again, the more children see them in schools and education programs and zoos, that you can get past that fear.
100%, yeah. Yeah. And
so
you
do
know
y'all,
what? One of those kids might grow up to become a politician, a veterinary, or something that will help us in the future fight against misconceptions and legislations, all that stuff.
Right.
so with that being said, do y'all feel like we're doing enough for USR or we could do more?
I think
You
we
can
always
always
do more.
always do more. So
Yeah.
Yeah, we can definitely do more, but like, how do we do more? Do you feel like we need to get somebody? So here, hypothetically, do y'all feel like we need somebody like The Rock to talk for us, or do we just got to keep pushing it out to the news? Like, how do we get the information that the happening with FWC out all over everywhere instead of just always talking about it on like Instagram lives or YouTube lives? Like, we need to get it out further.
I mean, obviously, anytime you can find someone that's going to be willing to speak for your community that has, that kind of clout, definitely be good for the community. But the biggest thing I think any of us can do besides that is make sure we're constantly promoting USARC to people that view our channels, that view our Instagrams. Let them know what they're doing to help us. And it's not even the reptile community. It's people that keep exotic birds, people that keep exotic fish, people that keep, hedgehogs and exotic mammals, things like that, that are also getting bundled into these bans that the states are putting in there. And the other thing we could do as a community, it sounds, I know a lot of people don't like it because it sounds regulatory, but what happened when there was all those issues with puppy mills? AKC came out and they said, you can be a member of the AKC. We will go to your facility. We'll check your animals. We'll make sure you don't have too many animals. We'll make sure they have all their shots. They're being well taken care of. You'll give you a certification, and you'll be a certified AKC owner of your breeding facilities. Something like that for the reptile community would go a long way to proving to everybody else that we are regulating ourselves, and we don't need regulation from the states.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a good idea. And like any governing organization, doesn't have to be the government, but like any organization is going to have a say so in how you run your facilities or how you breed your animals. There's going to be people that don't like it, and if you don't like it, you don't have to be part of it, right?
Right.
Because there's a lot of dog breeders that aren't part of it.
Yep.
There's a lot of but they understand that if they want to be recognized as legitimate bloodlines and dogs and stuff, that they have to be part of it.
Yep.
And I think it might be a good step in the way. I have mentioned I forgot where I mentioned it, but US Arc Florida had mentioned in one of their lives that they even thought about, because sometimes their membership is so small, they've even thought about, like, when these bans happens, that when they fight against them, they can get these animals grandfathered in and stuff like that. It will only be for their members,
right?
And I don't see that. I don't see no wrong in it. If you're not willing to put into the cause and do work, then why should you benefit from it, right?
Right, absolutely.
So
was that Chewbacca?
Yeah.
Dude, that was also, I knew I heard something. I was like, what is that?
It's good.
But I was like, I knew that was Chewbacca. I could actually do that noise, but I'm not going to do it on the live.
Told you I was.
Come on, man. That's good.
Bro, that's loud as hell. Especially if I did it, it's loud as hell. So I get what Missy's talking about. Like when my niece or nephews come over and their mom and dad don't want snakes. My brothers all had snakes, so they love the snakes. But it's their wives that are like, oh, no, I don't want that. Or it's crawling around, it's too fast. But my nieces always come over here. She named a gecko here Esmeralda. So she's can I see Esmeralda? It's a Diablo Blanco, leopard gecko. So I let her hold it all the time. I'm definitely not doing that Chewbacca voice right now.
That's funny. So let me ask you guys, how did you guys get your, either girlfriend or wives on board with reptiles? Or were your wives already into it? Your significant other, were they already into it?
So yeah, that's kind of funny because like my daughter hit this point where it was more my daughter. She hit this point where she wanted to see reptiles, and she was terrified of snakes or anything that was reptile related. But then she wanted to go to a reptile show, so we went, and she started holding everything. And so, it was like this complete 180 change. My wife never really was too, afraid of reptiles. She wasn't a fan of like holding them at first, but now she enjoys the reptiles. So when we first got married, I still had my leopard gecko that I had since I was like 10 years old. So, she was used to it, and, she knew I had it, but yeah.
That's cool.
So, I don't know, from my previous relationships and marriages, none of them like my reptiles. I couldn't have them. so
first red flag.
Sucks. Yeah, that's a red flag. Like, if I can't have my reptiles, then I can't have you. Adios.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, that's hard to get them to, especially all of their life they just been raised up like hating reptiles, and I don't get why.
Mm.
Yep.
But
Yeah,
now
I
that
have
you
a similar
say,
situ. Yeah, I have a similar story to Dustin too, because like my daughters are the ones that introduced me to Western hognoses. Before that, I never seen them before. They came to me one day, maybe like during like 2020, during the shutdown and stuff like that. They were watching a lot of YouTube, and they're like, "Dad, we want a Western hognose. What is this?" And they'll show me. It's like, "This is a snake," and stuff like that. I was like, "No, we don't need another pet." I was like, because I'm going to be end up the one taking care of it and stuff. So I pushed it out for like about a year. Um, and then eventually I go and I was like, okay, let's go get one, right? They kept asking and asking. It's like they asked for about a year. They really want one. So we're my wife and I are both animal people. We have dogs, and we always say if we had the money and space, we would probably run we love pit bulls, so we would run like a pit bull rescue and stuff like that. If we'd had the time and money and space. So she was in for it. She was okay. She goes, my wife's like, well, she goes, let's go look at one. She goes, so we went to a reptile shop and bought one. And then from there, it just escalated. It got me fired up again about reptiles because I had reptiles when I was young, and then where we're at now, and my daughters are daily involved in the reptiles. Right before the show started, my older daughter was in here spot cleaning the adult females.
Nice.
Yeah.
man, I want to say from the first podcast that we did with Alvaro, from where he is now, completely different, bro. Completely different. Like you involved, and it's good. It's really good.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Like you're gonna be great, dude. You're gonna do great in this
Thank
community.
you.
You're gonna do great on your pod. Um, I mean, you're gonna get a lot of attention, and I'm all for it, bro. I feel like
Thanks,
you're gonna
man.
do great things.
Thanks.
I'm just saying because from what I was watching earlier, from 7 months ago to now,
Yeah.
like you've grown in that short amount of time, man. I
Thank
mean,
you. Thank you.
anybody can. I mean, I was watching that first pod we did to where we are now, and the sponsors that we have now. Like
For sure.
we come a long way,
Yeah.
especially with the flyers, and we got a whole team that. So that too, like you have us to tell you, or you have anybody to tell you, like, oh, that's a great pod. That was good questions. Maybe next time ask these things, or listen to the definitely listen to your comments, like the people in the comments when they ask you questions, get them involved. I try to, but since it's only me, I'm trying to listen to you guys and then run the comments. It's
It's
kind of
hard,
hard.
man. It's hard. Yeah. I'm looking at the comments and stuff like that. Um, you know, so I want to address something so both have said here. The government knowing what you are keeping gives them an advantage when it comes to bans. They know exactly where to go first. Man, and that's hard. I feel like a lot of people feel that way, but it's double-edged sword. Like for myself, I have to have a class 3 uh like permit here in Florida to
Oh yeah. Okay.
publicly
Yeah.
sell and exhibit the animals. So like
Yep.
any exit what's it called reptile show that I would sell animals, I have to have my license and FWCO code and check and stuff like that. Make sure you have your license with you and stuff like that. So and then within that permit, you have to put in what animals you're keeping, how many, where you keep them, who else is responsible for those animals too. So do get a lot of information. But if you want to do it, you have to follow. You have to do it, right?
Yep.
You have to follow your protocols there
You
for
have to
your
for
state.
yeah.
Yeah, they did the same thing here in New York, like when they banned anaconda, all the big snakes, anacondas, berms, retics. They said, okay, if you have one, you can apply for a dangerous animal permit, and then you'll be able to keep your animal. Unfortunately, I don't know one person that was able to keep their animal. They just knew exactly where to go. So it is hard because they put that out there like, oh, you can get this permit and you'll be able to keep your animal, but then once it goes into effect, they just come in and take the animals. So it is
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So which I don't understand that really. I don't like. So why get a permit if you're just gonna come take my animal?
Right. So
So I don't know. And A
Yep.
lot of people. So I did a FWC live over there on the Cold Blooded Game page, because a lot of people were coming at me asking me why I wasn't talking about what was going on in the FWC. Why wasn't I posting it? Because to me, and he was telling them that those snakes were puppy dog, like you could just grab it
Mhm.
and then and just cradle it like a baby, like. And then the way he screamed and cried, dude, like I don't know, I felt that, like it just sent chills down my body. I was just like, damn,
Yeah,
like
because
that dude.
we can all put ourselves in his shoes. If that was any of our animals,
Yep.
I think a lot of us would react the same way.
Yep. Yeah, I think some people didn't post it just because they didn't even want to see it. I know myself. It's like seeing that was just awful. Um, you know, uh, obviously reposting some of the articles that came out. But reposting the video is, I mean, myself, I just had a hard time trying to repost the video, but definitely reposted articles and reposted stuff from US Arc Florida about FWC and stuff like that.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I think if you want to see it, USARC has it on their YouTube and stuff like that, so people know where they can go find it. I'm the same thing. I don't want to post it on my Instagram, the video itself, just because too I try to, because my daughters and stuff like that, and they see what I post, and
Yeah.
that, I talked to my oldest daughter about what happened, and I could see that it upset her. And there's no way I'm going to show her that video or for her to come up and stumble it because I posted it on our social media. And I say ours because they're involved in it, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bro, first of all, and foremost, I don't think any kid should see that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they should stay innocent.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like keep them sheltered from that. Like, let us fight that fight for them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not. If you want to show your kid that, that's on you. I'm not telling you not to. Um, but I just feel like we should not let them see that what they're doing or how they went in there and killed those animals with the nail gun. Because maybe a kid might accidentally do that and grab a snake, and you just never know.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yep.
I mean, not just that, it's a traumatic thing. I think kids would have issues with seeing that. It's definitely
uh,
traumatic because it like Dustin said, it bothered me, and like I know a lot of people that it bothered them watching it. Like, once was enough for them.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, once was enough for me. And for people like that are not sharing it, damn well it definitely bothered them. They're just not going to talk about it
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
because I honestly didn't want to talk about it. But since people were coming at me because they were saying I was a big name in the community, that I have a podcast that I could use to spread the word out, um, it was just hard for me to talk about. And especially with Levi gone and him on vacation, hanging with his family because he needed a break. It was just rough, to do it alone. And I get Levi needs his time, his space, to time to relax, to de-stress. Because the pod does, like I was telling Alvaro, I know he just started, but podcasting really, and trying to make the flyer, trying to set it up on YouTube. Like I was telling Alvaro, because he was like, "Hey, how come you don't ever, set up your YouTube, ahead of time?" I was like, "Bro, I try to, but like with work, back to back working, and the time that I have to do it, it's."
Mm-hmm.
I was glad that I even did Cold Blooded Games ahead of time.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I was telling him at the same time I wasn't expecting him like to actually like do a podcast today because I thought something was gonna happen, like maybe we are gonna cancel or something. But I'm glad we're doing this podcast because it's a good one. It's a good one,
Yep.
and then we get to see where Abdo evolves from then to now. So
Yep.
if
Sure.
people don't
Yeah.
know, you need to go back and rewatch that one because he's grown a lot, and I'm pretty
Exactly.
impressed.
Yeah. And then like the connections we make with each other. Like I've never met or talked to Dustin before, So we're making connections right here,
Really.
in the future, stuff like that. Like he's talking about going to Daytona. So if you're there, if you come down, definitely message me, and we'll link up. We usually me and some of my friends have like a dinner the day before. Well, the day we get there. This year, I think Friday they're having like a VIP day. So we got to set up Thursday night, Thursday
Okay.
afternoon. So Friday there's actually going to be like opened up. Friday afternoon is going to be opened up for VIPs tickets, and then Saturday, Sunday. So we're probably going to do like a dinner on Thursday night when we get there the first night.
So is this your first? Sorry, my tongue got twisted there. First show?
Yeah. So I went to Daytona last year, and then I've helped my friend Eslen vend a couple shows. But this would be my first show actually vending and selling some animals.
Oh, well then, congratulations, bro. Hell yeah,
Thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah.
get out there. And
Thanks, man.
Dustin, did you want to tell everybody about what you want to do too? About the
So,
captive, huh?
what was that? For what
That
about which one?
their captive breeding, like doing the
Oh
expos
yeah.
there in New York.
So yeah, so October 21st. So I actually do help promote other shows here in around Buffalo, but I'm actually going out on my own, and I'm going to do a show that is 100% captive bred animals, all local breeders. So no wholesalers, none of the commercial stuff. Just that way, all the local breeders can have a platform to be out there and not have to worry about being undercut by some big wholesaler coming in or anything like that. It's going to be just kind of like a homegrown show.
That's great, man. I think that's like, I understand different people have different types of business, but like, like you said, no wholesalers and resellers and stuff like that. Just people putting the animals they produce out there. I think that's a really good point of view on shows.
Yeah, I mean we have enough here that wholesalers go to and everything, but just giving that show, we're going to try and do 6 a year. So
Yeah.
and just see how it goes. I mean, I know we already have people that are inquiring that actually want to vend, and you're talking October. So I have 80 tables to fill, so we're just gonna go through and see what we can do.
Sure. So let me ask you, what are your thoughts on like the big box stores selling reptiles? What's your stance and stuff?
That's I have to say, it's hard because you don't know where the animals are coming from. I do know some reputable breeders that do sell to Petco,
Mhm,
but again, you don't know where you're getting your animals from.
mhm.
Um, and once they get there, you don't know how they're taken care of. You don't know how long they've been
Sure.
sitting in a box in the back. Because to be honest, a lot of the workers really don't care. It's just a job to them.
Mhm.
Um, and it's really hard to say because I do know there are some stores here that do really well with it. I know other ones that don't. And
Yeah.
I guess it really comes down to being able to see the animals and the way they're being taken care of.
Yeah.
Um, and even I hate to say it, I've seen worse care in local mom and pop shops here. That I've seen animals that are every single reptile is set up the exact same way. Green carpet, 10-gallon aquarium with a hide. Every single animal. So there can be a whole lot better care being taken to these animals from the mom and pop shops. That's actually one of our goals is to open up a reptile store, an exotic store. We've actually been talking about it. We want to do an exotic store, a reptarium, and then I would love to be able to expand that into a vet that exclusively does exotics, because there's not a lot of them around here. So
Nice, man.
I'm
Seems like you
hold
got
on.
definitely got some stuff working. Go ahead, Leo. Go ahead.
No, I'm just trying to see what Kennan's talking about here.
Okay.
So I agree with them. Like, did you see what Bosa put? He says sometimes it's
Yeah.
important that the kids see and learn what ignorance and misinformation does. My daughter saw it. I spoke to her before and after she was able to understand what was going on. But so I agree with that. Yes, as a kid, as the child is old enough to understand. because sometimes it could traumatize the kid as well.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
then Kim put informing our youth is very important. I agree. I definitely agree that
Yep.
they should know what's going on,
Yeah.
and we should also teach our kids what a boa looks like, what a retic looks like, you know, and what Ken said that FWC or CAM, sorry, FWC should know their types of snakes since they work with animals.
Yep.
100%. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I don't understand this question here from Ken, which was the one that was up. Those ones were socialized and a couple of them made a great animal ambassadors to take to schools to inform the youth.
Oh, he's talking about like the I guess the retics that were that they
Mhm.
were saying now, like some, if you see the video, he says, oh, you can just tap them on their head and they're
Yep.
gonna know that you're coming in. So they could have been like, yeah, it could have been like a
Ambassador animal.
ambassador or just an informational. Like FWC could use those animals to show, okay, this is what a Burmese python, this is what a retic python, stuff, and inform people. But I mean, that's not. We're gonna be truthful. That's not what they're here for, you
Right.
know. Um, so
I'd even I don't know if I want to say this live, but like on this live or this pod, like, well, I don't even know why we need FWC.
So yeah, so FWC here in Florida, they're supposed to do the wildlife protection, conservation stuff,
Yeah, but
and
they're not even doing that. They're taking animals out of people's house or enclosures and,
yeah,
killing the wrong animals.
yeah. And
Yep.
I mean, like many different, you know, state organizations, federal organizations. There's times where they need sometimes maybe to clean house and restart and stuff like that. But I think we're the people, right? We're the people that they're serving um, you know the citizens, where we need to, like we said, show up to May 10th and 11th. If you can, if you live in Miami or Florida and you have reptiles, not even reptiles, exotic animals, fish, exotic mammals or reptiles, show up and show them that we are, a majority, not a majority, but we do have a large community in Florida, and that is going to affect us if they do start keep doing stuff like this and keep pushing bans and restrictions against certain species.
Yep.
Um,
What a lot
Yep.
of people that
go ahead.
I'm sorry, what a lot of people didn't understand too is when Dustin said that, they banned retics and stuff like that because they were invasive in New York. But or they could be invasive in New York. And I'm trying to figure out like how if it's all city.
Well, they were more worried about dangerous having dangerous
Oh,
animals
dangerous.
brought
There
in,
you go.
but New York isn't a lot of. So people look at New York City and they're like, oh yeah, it's city. Well, I'd say a large majority of the state is country and rural.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of, like, around me, I have nothing but hundreds of acres of farmland around my house. So I live way out in the boonies and I love it. So, but yeah, how they say they're a dangerous animal when there wasn't even an incident or anything like that, and they got that ban through,
Yeah.
who knows?
It was just one person that knew the right influential people, didn't, and wanted to move the needle for something, for either for their, them running for a office or something like that, and it was just an easy target. It was an easy way to say they did something, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna go off this topic because I know it's a tough subject to talk about and stressful one too at that because
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm getting kind of like upset with the FWC.
Yeah.
Um,
But Alvaro, so what? Talking about animals, what is your your project that you're really looking forward to this season?
Man, so my favorite project is I have a toxic pair, which is that Xantic and Toffee Belly. And it's my favorite because the toxic like visual combo was like the first one that really caught my attention on the higher end animals. So I have a male and female this year that I'm breeding. Yesterday I had a lock, so I'm really looking forward to producing some of my own.
Hell yeah!
Yeah, nice.
Congratulations.
That's
Thanks,
awesome.
man. Thanks.
So I had my first two. Well, I had a clutch, and of course one of the eggs was like gone, it evaporated or something, and then there was three good eggs, and only two of the snakes came out. The other one, I guess, died or drowned in there in the yolk. So I cut it
Yeah.
open. It was dead. It was stillborn.
What animal was it?
It was a banana. It was a ghost banana head pie to a calico head pie, and I hit the banana calico head ghost head pie. So
Nice. Yeah.
Nice.
and he's doing pretty good. He's gorgeous as hell.
That's good.
Nice, man. Yeah, so I'm really excited. Like I said, this is my first year breeding, and I have some really good stuff. Like that's the toxic is my because that was the first thing that caught my attention. But I have other really good pairings this year too. So
Mm.
I have some stuff I want to prove out. Some have some like 66% possible head stuff. So hopefully this year I can prove them
Okay.
out and keep moving on.
Nice.
Yeah, man.
Yep. I'm waiting for some of my posset stuff to get big enough to breed. So I'm waiting. Hopefully next season I'll have some improve on some possets and
Yeah, yeah.
you
See,
know.
man, like, and this year, like that pause head, like I understand, like especially for myself, when I was starting off, it's like the pause head stuff is a good way to maybe possibly get that gene in your animal for a little bit less. But I think I want to move away from it, just because of the gamble of it.
Right. Yep.
What,
Maybe
the pause
spend.
head stuff?
Hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what everybody keeps telling me too. And like,
Hmm.
I'm listening to them, but at the same time, I'm just like, something in me wants to prove it, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, and it's a good like surprise, right? If you hit that pause head, it makes it a lot more
Mm.
rewarding, right?
Yep.
If you have those two visual animals or 100% heads, then okay, I know I'm getting this stuff, right? But proving those pause heads, it does make it a little more rewarding. Like I have a pair that's a um, three recessive gene animal, and it's called a permafrost. First of all, there's not many out there because it's sable is a newer gene within the hognose community. So
Hmm.
there's not too many double recessives, and then making a third triple recessive is hard. So I'm putting two heads with each other. So like even if I can hit single genes or double visuals, I'll be happy with. But if I hit that three gene visual animal, it's gonna make my year for
Or
sure.
that'll blow it up. Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
So yeah, I got a couple. I got cut three clutches in there that are like my exciting clutches for the year. So I want to see what those look like when they come out. So, but
Chris,
Bro, I
are
don't
you
know.
breeding other stuff or are you just breeding ball pythons right now?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I was breeding leopard geckos. They all came out. It's just so I was gonna say, like, when they come out the egg and you see them coming out and they're alive, it's satisfying, bro. It's like, oh yeah, I did it. And
you
when you see your babies come out and the colors they come out in, it's crazy, dude. It just blew my mind. Like every time I saw a gecko come out and it was different color, or it was all white, or it was albino with red eyes, tripped me the hell out. I was like, damn, where the hell did I get that from that? You
right.
know?
Yeah.
So
So Emily, they don't have shed testing for genetics yet for hognose for clubrids. They only have sex testing right now. So I know they're trying to work on some colubrid like genetic testing for the sheds, but they're not nowhere near it yet. So what are you guys' thought on that? Like I know Dustin, you're doing gargle geckos,
Yes,
geckos and stuff
exactly.
that yeah. But if they had shed testing to be able to prove certain things out, would you be on? Would you be for it or against it?
Yes and no. I do like I like the positivity of knowing, like if you buy something that's 66% hat or 100% hat, you can send it and see if you actually have that genetic in there. But again, it takes that joy of proving it out. Like we were saying, being able to
Mhm.
prove that animal does have those genetics in there. So for me, I don't think I would do anything. I was just trying to prove stuff out. Um, but then again, if I was to get an animal that was just a really good looking animal, but I had no idea what the background of it was, being able to do a genetic test to see what genetics were in there, I think would be useful to know how to pair it into the collection.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, Alvaro. So I'm gonna ask this question now because we were talking about it backstage, and I told you I would ask you. It was about the clout. Remember jumping on like people's podcasts for clout?
Yeah, yeah.
Like I don't know. I would. How did I ask you that question backstage? Did I say?
I think so you actually, if I've had anybody directly ask me if they could be on the podcast, without me extending the invitation. I'm so new that I haven't had anybody ask. Actually, I think I did have one person ask. But and it's not that that person is not somebody I'll bring on podcast, just not currently. I already have a handful of people scheduled for my podcast. Before I even started it, I was reaching out to people because I wanted to have a schedule already. I didn't want to be, trying to figure out, okay, who I'm going to have next week. I think next 2-3 months, I have already people scheduled for it. Um, you know, so I mean, if people are interested in coming on, I'm open to having them. I'm not gonna close my podcast out just because you asked me. Maybe I haven't thought about it, or maybe you weren't on my radar, but you're a great guest for my podcast, and people need to learn about what you're keeping and how you're keeping, or what's your journey within the reptile community. You know, I'm okay with it.
So, where do you feel like your journey is going in the reptile community, bro? Like for
Yeah,
me,
man.
I feel.
So like honestly, man, if the reptile thing has like lit a fire within me that I was missing for years. Just working a regular 9 to 5 job and stuff like that. Um, if and it's funny because even my mother right now that I'm working with these animals, she goes, she's telling me, she goes, oh, since you're little, you liked animals. In Jersey when I was growing up, I had iguanas under my bed because my mom hates reptiles. So that was like, I wasn't allowed no snakes for sure, but iguanas and turtles was like the compromise, and she didn't want to see them. So they were under my bed in the glass tank, with the green carpet, you know. But she tells me, she goes, I think this is something that you maybe I see that you're happy and that something you want to do when you're younger, work with animals. So that being said, I enjoy it. If for some reason I can make this 100%, be able to live off of it, I would. I definitely want to pursue that. You know.
Hmm,
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that, bro. Because
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you a story. Because when I came into the community, when I first started, I actually ran into Mary Pythons. You know who she is?
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, I call her mom because she's like the mother of the industry or grandmother or whatever y'all want to call her.
Mhm.
Um, but I call her mom. And she asked me a question. She's like, "So, Chris, I know you're new and all and everything, but where do you see yourself, a year from now? Are you still going to be here? You're going to still be in the community? Like, what do you see yourself doing?" I was like, "Well, I see myself trying to bring this community together because as of now, I see that we stand against each other. Like everybody's at each other's throat. I want to be that positive light. I want them to see there's always a positive outcome,
Yeah.
And when I started, when I met Keys, later on, well, like way later, after all the negativity that was going on, because there was a lot of it back then, um, Keys asked me a question, and I was supposed to be on his podcast, and I never got to get on it because I was playing arena football. So I had that day he scheduled me to get on his live. I had arena football practice and it was mandatory. So I missed that podcast. But one of his questions, he sent me a list of questions, and one of the questions was, do I ever see myself doing a podcast or, you know, running a podcast, or if so, yes, and why, or why not? And in a million years, I never thought I would do a podcast. Honestly, I never
Yeah,
thought I'd be here right now talking to you guys about the USR, about FWC. I never thought I'd be here, honestly, especially the way life was going back then too, because like it was like one thing after another. You know,
Mm.
my like my my ex-wife won't let me see my son, and he lives in the same city and state. Um, my dad passed away with COVID, and then you meet so many people that they're talking to you and then they just, leave you or bail on you, even though you're going through all these life changes. But you really do see who's there for you along the way, like everybody, the people that constantly check up on you. And that's why I started Mi Familia, because I wanted to spread positivity, bring that family together. And so far, like the people that are in there, it's kind of like a Patreon, seriously, if you think about it, because all we do is talk about reptiles. All we do, and when we disagree, it sounds like we're brother and sister fighting.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mm.
So,
yeah. And and there's we all have our hard days, and some of us share it on that chat, and we get advice and motivation from it and stuff like that. So it's really good what you guys got going on and what you guys started there.
it was crazy too, because it just started. It started actually as a roast pod. It was called the Inhumane Fox. You remember that? So we took that logo and we just made it into Mi Familia, and it just kept growing, kept evolving. We kept adding people that we felt like they were positive, like influencer, like Alvaro. There's a bunch of other people, Adler, um, Gary from
Hmm.
Constricted and Addicted. There's like Bosa, the bastard.
Hmm.
Can't forget about Bosa. I'm sorry, Bosa. We got Geo Eden's Den. He's our flyer guy. He does everything like the flyers you see right now, all that stuff. That was Eden, not me. The only thing I added to the flyer was the little enter the password, and then it switched over. That was me.
Okay.
So other than that, like it's good to have a team that's gonna help you and tell you, hey, Chris, like next time you should not talk about that or talk about this, or no, or they give you positive feedback. And then so I also take the negative feedback. If I do something wrong, and I always ask, hey, like what could I have done differently? Like I'll ask them in the chat, like, what do you think I could have done differently? And they always say talk more, because usually I'm quiet because Levi does all the talking and I'm running the comments. But now it's me today, and like I told him, telling the guys right now, and who's ever watching this pod or watching this live right now, is that I'm glad I could live up to their expectations, because I felt like without Levi, I don't feel like, I'm missing that other half.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That
Mm.
controversy, because he's controversial, and I'm trying to bring all of that with just me by myself. So I don't know. It's just hard, man.
Right.
Especially
It's
like,
work, man. It's work put on being the host of the podcast and keeping everything going, and being able to look at the comments and engage your guests is work, man. Um,
I started the podcast by myself before I got
mhm,
Levi, and
mhm.
I started it on Instagram. I had did, I think, 7 shows before I went to YouTube, and everybody's like, Chris, like your lives are so good. Like, why don't you just go to YouTube? So when I transition into YouTube, um, that's when I added Levi, and Levi became, controversy. Like he was all about that. I'm all about like rainbows and peace, love, positivity. At least that's what they say. But if you knew my past life, you would knew why I am the way I am right now. So it just goes to
I
show,
think you
like,
guys have a good dynamic, and I don't think Levi's controversial. Levi definitely likes to try to talk what a lot of people don't want to talk about and bring out those, questions that, some people are scared to ask and stuff like that. So it's a good, you guys, like I said, you guys have a good dynamic going on.
Hmm.
Yeah.
See, and I feel like the questions, the way I ask questions sometimes, I, I feel like people say, like, feel like I'm attacking them because the way I ask the question, I just like, but
Yeah.
Levi, he has a certain way of twisting it, and it sounds a lot better when he says it. So I'm just pretty straightforward because being a cop, you're just straight blunt. I'm I'm just gonna tell you how it is, and I have to calm that down for some people because they're like, "Damn, why you so harsh? Like, why you hard like that?" I'm like, "I'm sorry."
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I I
Some
just know how
people,
to
some
I
people
just
you
know how to
can
speak the
finesse a
truth.
little bit.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
You,
It's
you got to know
just
your audience. You got definitely there's different deliverance for different audiences.
Yep.
yeah, agreed. Yes, agreed.
You know?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. But man, I don't know from where we started and then where we are now, dude. I mean, the only place where you can go is up from here, and you're gonna
100%,
go
man.
up definitely.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think most people that are doing it for the animals are doing it because they love it and it's a passion. They're gonna keep growing and gonna keep spreading their name, their and their animals in the community. And let's see where we're at 5 years from now. You know,
Right.
I
Yeah.
think we'll look back at this and like, man, 5 years ago. And you say 5 years, but that time flies.
Oh yeah, it's a
You
long
know.
time.
Mhm.
I mean, it's hard to believe I got my first animals. What, 3 years ago? I mean,
Yeah.
so yeah, that was like I said, that was I was into reptiles years ago, and that was my daughter. She's just like, I want to do this. I'm like, all right, let's do it. Now
Yeah.
it's been 3 years.
Yeah. Justin,
thank you guys.
do you have a job like or other profession, and then doing the reptiles just on the side now?
Yep. Yeah, I would. I'm a commercial. Guess you'd call it more like a finish carpenter.
Okay,
I
cool.
do a lot of old stuff right now. I'm working on a lot of historic renovations. Having to match up old buildings. Doing renovations like that and dealing with historical societies and that type of stuff.
That's really cool, man. That's interesting. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
505. I think. Yeah. So this is the rack I got off of Reptile Basics. It's for the hatchlings this year. I forget. Let me just scroll. Tubs are
These guys
the
are funny.
Yeah, this is the VEI 80 tubs. So these are singles, and then you can also do I think there's an I-60, which is basically two doubles that still fit in the same height.
So 5150 is he actually makes Rex.
Okay,
If y'all
cool.
don't know, yeah, if y'all don't know who he is, he
Okay.
makes Rex. His name's Elazar. And he makes Rex. And
Okay.
he makes badass Rex too. You can put like LED lights in them. And I mean they're nice Rex. They're actually in I think he still has them in CNB Reptiles shop.
Okay.
Hmm.
So he makes Rex and they're freaking amazing Rex. And he also I think if I'm right, he's still breeding boas. If I'm wrong, then he'll let me know. But he said, yeah, nice Salvador's good. Those are Rex are nice. But they're over here talking about
Excellent.
Oreos and Pop Tarts. I'm like, oh my god, talk about junk food. I don't
You
even
got, you got
eat
to get
that.
the new mint chocolate Oreos. Those are good.
Those are good. I
I was
like
like,
those.
I'm like, wait, why are we talking about Oreos? No, I'm joking. Like, we're not talking about Oreos, but yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah,
And
the
the nut.
fitness podcast, we were talking about cheeseburgers. So hey,
Oh yeah, but they actually ate cheeseburgers at night too, though.
right?
But so, and that was another thing too. So like with my like stickers and stuff. So like I do autistic stickers, I do breast cancer stickers. And whenever I like make these or somebody buys it, like a little sticker pack, I donate that money to one of the autistic ones here in San
Mm.
Antonio, like a charity. So I do all of that. Like I try to get involved with that. Like I said, I reached out to Vanessa from the US Art that wanted to volunteer for the NRBC in Arlington,
Mhm.
and she said she'll hit me up with the email.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm trying to get more involved with the community. I want to be more involved. I want, you know, there's a lot of good people getting involved.
Yep.
So like Lady Tish, Nicole, she also volunteered for US Art. So I don't know, just seeing that like inspires me to be better, want to be better,
Right.
for the community.
Yeah.
Like I have the passion for my reptiles, but I want to do more. So
Yeah.
Yep.
And too, man. My wife tells me this, and she goes, "You also got to know your limits on how much You don't want to spread yourself thin, so thin that where you're not able. You do so much, but you're not able to do it 100%.
Mhm.
And luckily, I have her that will ring me in and like, all right, I know you like this last couple months. I started, I started a project management business, remodeling homes and stuff like that.
Mm.
Doing full home remodels a few months ago. Then I started doing the reptiles, breeding this first season, doing YouTube, starting a podcast, and on top of everything, just regular, family life. And she tells me, it's like, okay, don't add anything else because you're already overloaded.
Yep.
Yeah, but
bro, honestly, it can be overwhelming, honestly, because sometimes, like you said, like you asked me with the flyers and stuff, it can be overwhelming. Like it is,
mm,
because even though my kids aren't here, like my nephews, they're always asking for me. They're like Theo, because they call me Theo instead of Uncle. So they're like, Theo, when are you gonna like spend time with us? So because
yeah,
I see them a lot more since my kids aren't here.
hmm,
So I try to spend time with them because I love kids and like I miss my kids, so I treat them like my kids.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I like come here, daddy's like, are you okay? What do you need? Like, what do you want me to get you? You want me to get you something to eat? Like the stuff I would do with my sons, I do with them. So now that I'm working and I'm doing the podcast, like right now they were banging on the door. They were like, "Dude, are you gonna come play Fortnite with me?" Like, you know, they always want me to do
oh
something.
yeah,
Like
Yep.
before the podcast, I was telling Alvaro we had a balloon fight, a water balloon fight. That shit was fun. I forget, you know, to wind down and spend time with the family instead of always thinking about the podcast or what am I going to do next for the podcast or what else can I do different or my brain's always going because I have ADHD, so
yeah.
it doesn't shut
Yep.
down.
Yep.
You know what, man? You know what's one thing that I realized recently, and speak to my wife and other friends that have businesses and stuff like that. It's scheduling your days out. Um, it's very important because it's not you're going to be everywhere and you're going to spend time where maybe you don't need to spend the time. In or if you schedule, okay, this day, this time, I'm gonna work on the what's it called, on the flyers and putting the YouTube stuff up. You know that for that hour, that's all you're gonna do, and and you have it written down. And I've started doing it, and it definitely works.
Mhm. Yep.
I
Yeah.
don't know, man. I don't know,
Was that?
but go on, Dustin.
I said having that time blocking definitely helps try and get stuff done. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's you have that time set aside, but yet, you know, everybody gets busy, stuff gets put in front of you, but by having it written down, at least even just a task list, something like that, you can, hammer it out and get it done. So, you know, yeah, it's it's a lot when you're dealing with animals, work, family, you know, putting on, shows for, right now it'll probably be about like 12 expos a year trying to get vendors and set up tables and keep the website updated and all that stuff. It all takes time.
Yep. Yeah. 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 And then another thing too is like like you said, we're working with animals. We're not working with like some dry good stock and stuff like that, where you can shed on the shelf and forget it, and if you get an order, you put it together and that's it. There's things where if you decide to work with these animals, especially if you breed them or you have a large you're keeping a large collection, you have to schedule certain things around them. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I was telling Chris, my girls and my wife and my daughters are going to go to New York for her grandfather's 70th birthday, and it's going to be at the end of May, and I can't go because I have females, either dropping eggs or eggs are going to be hatching within that time frame.
Right. Yep. That's sacrifices you make when you do this kind of work.
For sure, man. For sure.
So, all right, guys. I feel like this was a good life. I'm gonna say that for sure. I feel like I'm gonna hit the wrap up questions. Dustin, do you have a
Sure.
wrap up question?
Um, Let me think. I'll let you go first.
Well, I'm gonna ask what I asked the last time I
Yeah.
wrote, because from now to then, like, I know you've seen a lot of things going on in the community. So, like, what would be the one thing you would change in the community? Slash industry, being
Man,
husbandry.
yeah. The one thing I would change, or I would like, I think people more to get more involved, if you are breeding animals and you are going to sell it, um, run it more like a business. On like the sales side and marketing yourself and stuff like that, education, because I think that's going to make our community more legitimate in the eyes of the government, our legislators, stuff like that. If we have good businesses, multiple good businesses running stuff like that, because at the end of the day, they want their tax dollars. They want to see that our community are being productive, part of the economy. And if we have that in our back pocket, that hey, we are being productive in the economy, we have more weight to fight against certain things for our community.
Nice. Absolutely. So, and I guess I would say, what as a industry as a whole, what husbandry changes would you like seen throughout the entire community?
Oh, that's a good
Well,
follow up.
husbandry changes, man. So I think the last couple months we've seen the back and forth between racks and larger cages and stuff like that. I keep my animals in racks. I also have pets that are in either glass enclosures or large enclosures in our living room and stuff like that. So I'm a little bit of both. But I think the biggest change is people educating themselves more about each animal. Don't wait for the breeder or for one of your friends to tell you how you should keep this animal. Make it an effort to go and research online, read books. There's so many what's it called, websites that have studies on about the animals we keep, and then we could be and there's so actually there is some information and there are many websites, but we have such little bit of information about our animals where we can be those people making that information. Just the other day, here this is a question I get a lot. Are hog noses venomous because they're rear fanged?
Yep.
I honestly don't know how to answer that question. Some people say yes, some people say no. The other day I was online. There's this website called Toxicology, and they have different species of animals enlisted, and if they're venomous, what type of venom they have, and the levels. So I was on there researching, trying to figure out, where does the hognose really fall within that venomous toxicology line.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the one thing a lot of people can benefit from is like Google Scholar, because you can see all those scientific papers and everything for all the species that we take care of.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of people don't even know that exists.
Yeah. So somebody, I don't know if you guys have heard of Chat GPT.
Yep.
Use it for reptiles. I've been using it. Like the other day, I went on there and put Western hognose FAQs, and it gave me a list of 20 FAQs of questions and answers, and it was pretty dead on.
Yeah.
Because what it does, it has researches all these sources online and then compiles it together for you and puts out answer. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So there's a source that people don't know about it. Use it. So it's Chat GPT.
Yep. Absolutely.
All right. But what is one question that you think we should have asked you, or that we didn't get to ask you?
Man, one question you didn't ask me:
I tried to cover everything we talked about, but
what I had for dinner tonight.
Yeah.
what did you have for dinner tonight?
Oh man, actually, I had a good dinner. My mother-in-law made so my mother-in-law and my wife, they're Puerto Rican, so they made pernil, was a pork shoulder, like slow cooked pork shoulder with rice
That
and
sounds
beans.
good.
So it was really good.
That sounds
But man,
delicious,
on the
actually.
serious note, like what you would ask me, um, I don't know. I think we talked about a lot about ourselves, a lot about the community. We didn't get too deep into the animals that we keep.
Well, because I felt like the first time
Yeah,
we talked, we got into the animals,
yeah,
and then I was like, well, I know Dustin doesn't really know about your animals, but
hmm
um, from when we talked, I felt like okay, we're past that part now. I
yeah,
wanted to get more, let people know more you and what you were doing with your podcast. Trying to get people over there to you as well and help like support you. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So I
I
felt like
appreciate
we're
it.
already beyond that level of the reptiles because we already know that you keep them right there behind you.
Yeah,
and
yeah, man.
and I just wanted people to see you for you, bro. And I wanted
Thank you.
you to see the realness, the passion, and just the way we talk, man. Just talk to one another. Like that's how it should be.
For
So
sure, man. 100%. Yeah.
Absolutely.
on I mean on that note, guys, I'm gonna shout out the sponsors real quick, and if y'all got anything else to say, just let me know. He says that.
I don't know what you know about arroz con gandules. I mean, we make it all the time here at home, so it's arroz con gandules for people that don't, speak Spanish. It's yellow rice with pigeon peas in it, and it's really good. It's really good.
Yep.
People are like, "Oh man, that sounds delicious. I'm hungry again."
Yeah. I'm getting hungry thinking about it. I'm about to go to the fridge and go serve me another plate.
So I want to thank you both. I want to thank you, Alvaro, for actually coming on with me again. We're gonna
Thank you,
have
man.
should have a part three, and Levi should be here for that one.
Sounds good.
Dustin, we're actually gonna bring you back on too, so people can get to know you and your animals, because a lot of people don't know who you are. They only know from last night from Cold Blade Games, but that's fitness and reptiles. That's something different. If you
Yep.
want to know about Dustin and his reptiles, go check that out. But on that note, like, shout out to sponsors real quick. We got Reptile Crew. If you don't got their merch, go and get it. And then we got CNB Reptiles, um, captive bred reptiles in Arizona. Then we got KC Reptile Lab for substrate. We do have a code. It is I think it's Flexin 15, and you get like 15% off. I'm not sure. I gotta look that up again. I'll put it in the description. Because I gotta do all these descriptions tonight, and because I'm not gonna have time. So also shout out to our newest sponsor, Ship Your Reptiles. We actually have a code for that. It's Flexin23. You get $15 off when you ship your reptiles for first time users. Um, and then there's Josh from South Bay Reptiles. Josh is always supporting us. Ever since he came on the pod, he loved us. And then he was like, "How do I become a sponsor?" And I love Josh, man. Josh is awesome. I tried to get my niece to come in here and say, "Go and support US Art," and we did that backstage, and she said it, and he was like, "Dude, that was so adorable. Like, what's her size? I'm gonna send her a shirt. That was so cute, you know." So like,
Cool.
I'm just always trying to preach, positivity, spread the word, you know, get out there. A lot of people always say go to colleges and talk in front of colleges because a lot of people go to college, schools, or like the number one place is to go and talk about USR, get them involved. On that, I mean, I got nothing else to say, guys. Just thank you guys for coming on with me and, keeping up the positivity in this community. I think we need that right now.
Thanks for
Absolutely.
having us,
Thank
man.
you.
So on that note, guys, I'm going to tell y'all good night and do what I always say. Make sure if y'all see anybody that needs to be lifted up, y'all, go and lift them up. give them some words of positivity. Love each other, you know, and keep going forward. Like, go up, don't go back down. All right, guys. Y'all have a good night. We love y'all. Peace.
Good night,
We out of
everybody.
here.